can't find the truth in all the lies. I don't wanna fall for you this time. I can't find the truth in all the lies. I don't wanna fall for you this time. Keep universe. Activate my activists, I'm blacking out on how to feel. Ask me the who's on my shirt is my two soul. You look like a dope boy, you gon' need a tune-up. Shame my everything, super my universe. Activate my activists, I'm blacking out on how to feel. Ask me the who's on my shirt is my two soul. You look like a dope boy, you gon' need a tune-up. Shame my everything, super my universe. Activate my activists, I'm blacking out on how to feel. Shame my everything, super my universe. Shame my everything.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Okay, good. My audio mic is working. Let me know if I'm getting any, like, weird feedback or something, because, like, you guys have no idea how bad the universe did not want me to stream this morning. I'm just saying. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to... Is it kind of echoey? You sound like you're in a can. Uh-oh, okay. All right, yeah. See, I told you the universe is not happy. Let's mute that guy. Let's mute this guy. How's that better? Is that better if am I in a can now if I do that? Is that a little bit better? Whoa, better. Okay, woo. Yeah. So the amount of chaos that happened this morning just for a stream cannot be understated. I go to turn on vMix to start streaming, and vMix needs an update. I'm like, let's go ahead and update the streaming software first thing in the morning on a Friday right before stream. What could possibly go wrong? That's how you can tell it's going to be a good day, when you have to ask yourself, what could possibly go wrong with updating your software right before you do a stream? Well, lo and behold, something did go wrong. Yeah, old smart, right? Update right before stream. Yeah, great call. Yeah, exactly. And literally, like I don't fault my mods at all. I literally decided like 30 minutes ago I was going to stream. It was literally like one of those things where I was like, I miss my community. I need to stream. Let's go. So updated vMix this morning, and I started getting errors. And I was like, oh no. I was like, if BSec were here, if BeardSec were here, if any of my guys were here, They'd be yelling at me right now. Why did you update right before the stream? So I started getting errors. That's why we started a little bit late. Finally got vMix updated because, so the reason I had to finish updating it was because as it got halfway through, it got one of those Windows messages where it was like, hey, we can't write this file. Access is denied. And I was like, what? What do you mean access is denied? All right, fine. Abort the install. We'll roll with the rolled back version. I go to install my profile, and it can't find half my files. And I was like, no, this can't be happening this morning. But it was. It was definitely happening this morning. We had to go download a new version of vMix, had to get it installed, like right off the bat. Finally got everything up and running. I go to hit stream, and the music's playing, and I realized that on my console, I don't have a microphone. And I was like, where's my microphone? What happened to my microphone? Where is my microphone? So I kid you not. Here's what happens behind the scenes. While the music is playing, and I see like Fisochi in there like, yeah, this rave music is lit. I'm over there like, yeah, it's lit. Thank God I got 10 minutes to try to solve why I don't have a microphone in vMix. So the fact that I was probably a little echoey was because I was adding every input that I possibly could to get the microphone working. But here we are. We made it. I was not going to let the universe stop me from seeing you this morning. Damn right. Take that, universe. I won. Ow. You can tell I had some coffee this morning already. Carmen and I bought this like so for those who have heard me in chat, I'm on my fourth coffee machine. I love my wife dearly. But she has inexplicably tried to research the hell out of finding us the perfect coffee machine so that we can make our own lattes and coffees and everything else here at home. Because, it's getting kind of bad that they know my name by heart and they know my order by heart at the local coffee shop. And so we decided that that's probably a sign that we needed to make our own. So, yeah, it's been a time. What time is it for you? Man, it's like 8:37. I've been awake. Listen, I have been awake since 2 a.m. For those who are in Discord, plug to Discord, hit that exclamation point Discord, hop into Discord. For those who have been Discord, you'll see a message in there from about 3 o'clock in the morning where I was like, is anybody awake? I got insomnia. So it's 8:37 here right now, but I've been awake since about 3 o'clock in the morning. How have I been? Mark Score, it's good to see you. It's been a long time since we've seen you. It's good to see you as well. I am awesome. As if the excitement in my voice isn't evident enough. Boy, do I got a whole heck of a lot to talk about today. We should probably get into that. Welcome, everybody, to the Cyber Insecurity stream. My name, because I needed to remind myself of my name this morning because of the sheer amount of caffeine in addition to the fantastic excitement that we have with vMix. My name is Neil Bridges. I'm sure you knew that. I had to double check to make sure I knew that. He's pulling a Ric Flair. Welcome to Friday morning tea with a hacker. Yay! We're streaming live across LinkedIn, Twitch, X, YouTube, all the channels that we can. I'm super excited to be here. It has been a busy couple of weeks. It seems like every single time I wanted to turn the camera on and chat, something seems to have come up, whether it was something on a Wednesday. We had a couple guests cancel. We were supposed to have a couple guests in the morning. They canceled. So it's just been one thing after another. But I'm here now, ready to talk to you, excited to be talking to you. This is our Friday morning tea with a hacker. I apologize. I'm going to say I apologize in advance to our folks on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has not been working very, very well for me. I don't understand what has been happening with LinkedIn, but for some reason, I can't see anybody who's chatting in LinkedIn. And so I promise you, my folks in LinkedIn, I am absolutely not ignoring you. For some reason, I can't see chat in LinkedIn. I forgot where I was going with that. Wow, you could absolutely tell what kind of morning it is this morning. This is our Friday morning tea with a hacker. I am excited to be joining everybody this morning. As always, this is kind of our chill stream. We kind of streaming across. We do this one in the morning because we're kind of streaming across all the different time zones. I think the only people that are actually technically getting left out this morning might be the folks over on the West Coast. They might just now be waking up. I might be getting a couple text messages from people like, "Oh my God, you're streaming." Which, by the way, like, I absolutely love the text messages. I do truly appreciate everybody who sends me text messages. That means the world to me, so I'm sending you hearts for that one. As this is our Friday morning tea with the hacker stream, this is our AMA, stands for Ask Me Anything. I do love the questions. We do set this time aside regardless to make sure that we get all your questions answered. Tell stories, talk about the cybersecurity industry. Boy, has there been some stuff that's gone on here recently. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, just kind of talk about, just see how everybody's doing. See how everybody's hanging out in there. We do encourage questions. Ask those questions at any time. And again, I apologize to the folks that are over on LinkedIn. For some reason, I can't see your question on LinkedIn. You may have to hop on over to Twitch or YouTube to check out or to get your questions asked. But do pop those questions in chat. We will, the moderators will grab those questions, queue them up, and then send them over onto the screen, as you can see right here, and we will answer them live here on chat. This is one of the great places where you can come and see questions live, get them answered in real time. As always, make sure you are hanging out in our Discord. Hit that exclamation point Discord. Make sure you do pay attention to the social media channels. Hit that exclamation point socials. Get access to our social media channels. May I ask what your LinkedIn, somebody wants to know what my LinkedIn is. Hit those exclamation point socials. That'll get you access to my LinkedIn. That's the best way to get access to my social. Or you just go to LinkedIn and search Neil Bridges. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one there. By the way, I apologize to anybody who is hearing me for the first time and wants to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have finally hit that milestone. Yeah, I can see the ones on YouTube. I can see the ones on YouTube. I do need to, hold on for a second. I do need to turn on my YouTube monitoring. Give me a second. There we go. There we go. See, I had to turn on the YouTube monitoring. There we go. See, now I can see my folks on YouTube. There we go. Hi, YouTube. Look at that. We got the questions there on YouTube. So see, we got the questions coming in from Twitch. We got the questions coming in from YouTube. Ask those questions, drop those questions at any point in time. I do appreciate that. And I am sorry again for the folks over on LinkedIn. I have hit that point from a LinkedIn perspective where I can no longer accept connections. And I'm sorry for that. I have hit the 30,000 connection mark. I can no longer accept your connection. So do not get offended if I don't accept your connection. Send a ticket into to LinkedIn and ask them why they're stupid. That'd be the best thing to do. I love this. See, this is why I stream. This right here is why I stream. I love it. People coming in, watching the streams for a long time. We've got, folks who've been here for years. Folks who have been here for years that come and tune in. I heart you. I heart you so much. I heart you so much. Absolutely. I've been good. The questions are starting to come in. The moderators are starting to push those up on screen. I'll kind of talk really quick about this one just because I love talking about my golf journey. As a matter of fact, I've got the iPad up right now because they're down in Florida playing at the Players Championship. I've played that course. I have to tell you, there's a course that I played at in Florida last year called TPC Sawgrass, which is Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. It was surreal. And it's surreal because I'm watching 146 of the best professional golfers in the entire world right now play on the exact course that I played on last year. And it still floors me to this day that I participate in a sport where I can step foot on the exact playing surface as a professional. And I watched Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy. I got a secret man crush on Rory McIlroy. And I was watching Rory McIlroy yesterday, and as he was hitting, I was like, oh man, I remember standing on that tee box. I remember hitting into those shots. I remember hitting into those fairways. And that the amount of butterflies that I got from that, I can't even begin. Like I never understood some of you guys' passion for sports until I started playing golf. And then I was kind of like, okay, yeah, now I get it. Absolutely understand it now. So the Players is on. I absolutely love it. The golf journey is going well. I have to say, so you saw, I don't know if many of you saw or not, but BSEC told me that I messed up my stream setup because I moved a lot of my stuff to the golf simulator room. I converted one of the rooms in my house to a golf simulator room, and I bought a golf simulator. And so for those who don't know, like, why are we talking about golf, Neil? It's a freaking cybersecurity channel. It is a cybersecurity channel, but golf has been a year-long journey for me now. Post-cancer, and I can't say post-cancer, post-diagnosis, and it has given me a renewed sense of purpose, if you will, which is awesome. Like, that may sound weird, but I promise you, it's a good thing, right? It's a renewed sense of purpose for a good reason. And when I say a renewed sense of purpose, the best way to say it is that I needed something to go towards. I needed something to work towards. And golf has given me something to take my mind off of fighting cancer. And when I'm not just talking about like going out and playing golf with the boys and driving the golf cart around and jumping off of sand dunes and stuff like that. I'm talking like truly competitive golf. Like, I compete, now that spring has hit, I compete legitimately in 4 tournaments every week. So I have a Tuesday, Thursday night league that's here local. And then I participate in a national event or a national tournament series. And those usually happen on Saturday and Sunday. This week it happens to be Sunday, Monday. And so I'm pretty all in on competitive golf with the goal of making it to the PGA Tour. And it was super encouraging. I saw somebody say, like, I saw Vol say, like, the Players Champion, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there is a dude who is 57 years old who plays on the PGA Champions Tour, who is playing in Florida right now with guys like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas and Max Homa, who hit it 370 yards. And that just gives me hope that golf is a timeless sport. Right? Golf is a timeless sport. It is a truly meritocratic sport that is independent of your fitness levels. And so I built a simulator and I legitimately hit the golf ball about 1,000 times a day. My game has literally been transformed because of the golf simulator in the house, and I couldn't be more ecstatic about it. I don't always jump the sand dunes, but I may have a little fun while I'm out there. It does test patience. There's a blog series. For those who don't know, I've started writing some thoughts down. There's a blog that I've been kind of updating and kind of like dropping some thoughts into. I'm gonna start a piece that specifically outlines the similarities that I've had for the last 20 years in cybersecurity to what I'm learning on the golf course, because I think, here's a theory that I'm willing to test. I think you can legitimately say that if you wanted to get better at cyber, you should go play golf. There, I said it. I've been thinking it for a while. If you want to be better at cyber, you should go play golf. Not just from the business acumen, but the amount of self-awareness that I have about myself from playing golf, the amount of mental discipline and mental toughness, the amount of it is a hot take. I 100% agree with you. It's a hot take, but I mean, it's what Eccentric Ethical said, right? It takes patience, and I've got stories for days, right? Just like in life, just like in cyber, you have to hit the ball where it lies. You can do all the preparation in the world that you want, but you take one bad shot, you can't take it back. You can't redo. There's no redos. You got to go out there and you got to make the best of the shot that you hit. And so I very, very much believe that. Absolutely. Send it to your manager. Absolutely. I read on our golf. I almost sent this to my boss. If Matt's watching, I almost sent this to you, Matt. But I was reading Reddit the other day on our golf, and somebody said that their insurance carrier provided golf perks for them. And I wanted to be like, I want your insurance carrier. I want your corporate insurance carrier, because if I can get some golf perks, man, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to go see if we can't change insurance carriers to get me some golf perks for fitness. But it has been. Golf's been fun. Golf's been really critical to me. I sincerely appreciate the people who chime in and send me messages on Instagram and send me text messages wishing me good luck for the tournaments. It means the world to me to have your support when I'm out there on the golf course. So if you feel up to it, follow me on my socials. Please, don't hesitate to drop me a message when I got a tournament going on and let me know that you're thinking about me. I absolutely freaking love it. There was one here that I saw. I want to push this one up. Where was this one at? I just lost it. Here it is. Thank you. These never get old right here. These right here absolutely never get old. Right? You got me here, Neil. I'm leading a red team now after you getting me interested and giving me a plan of action around 3 to 4 years ago. I am super happy for your success. That is what we are about here. Everybody give a round of applause. Drop some clappies in chat. Drop some bits. Drop some cheers for Cyber FTW for achieving his goals. That's what we're about here. We're about people achieving their goals. Speaking of achieving goals, I see the questions. Keep the questions coming. We'll continue to queue up the questions, but I have to say something, because I'm getting close. I'm getting close to a formal announcement. Starting in November, so this actually started a few years ago, but in November, I had my first really big breakthrough with a project that I've been working on in stealth. Some of you know about this project. I've talked about this project in stealth a couple times. I have a few folks who I keep in a really small circle that I coach. And I'm not talking like, hey, they book time with me on TopMate, which absolutely you can book time with me on TopMate, hit that exclamation point coaching, and you can book time with me on TopMate. These are people who kind of exist in a tighter circle than that. I had an opportunity to tailor make one of those folks get hired in a position that they were uniquely qualified for through something that I've been working on the side. Started November 28th as we went back and looked at the text messages. When you find out who this person is, you're going to be incredibly shocked. It's a very, very well-known name in our industry. They came to me and they said, Neil, I want to engage your assistance in my career. I'm being obviously incredibly vague and incredibly high level because I haven't asked this person their permission to share the full details. I think they want to share it first. But they came to me and they asked me to help them with the next phases of their career. And we're not talking a junior person. We're talking about somebody who is mid-level trying to get to a senior role. And you all know I have a vast network of CISOs at my disposal. I talk to a ton of CISOs on a regular basis. I talk to a ton of, directors and managers and stuff like that on a regular basis. And so as I'm working with this person and figuring out what their career goals are, I'm out there talking and networking and meeting with my group of CISO friends. And one of my CISO friends says, hey, Neil, I'm looking for a person that matches these qualities to lead this function of my organization. Can you help me out? And so I went back and I went through the folks that I know, and I started with this group of folks that I've been coaching, and I reached out to this individual and I started working with them. And I almost felt like a matchmaker, right? Like I was finding a bachelor in this CISO and finding a candidate to try to marry the two of them up together. Long story short, after about 2 months of me working back and forth in that matchmaker capacity, I've secured this person a deputy CISO role. So they literally went from a manager to a deputy CISO role. And I couldn't be prouder for this individual. It always makes me happy when we're able to see people's dreams come true. And so I say all that to say, Cyber FTW and anybody else who's listening out there, we're here as a group to make your dreams come true, and that's what we want to do. Please join the Discord, participate in chat, network with your peers, reach out to me for coaching opportunities. If you're interested in this thing I'm being highly ambiguous about, you can always catch me in DMs, and maybe, it's a very, very tight, controlled environment right now. So I'm not, it's never going to be advertised all over, the place. Like, that's just not the goal of this program. But if you're a right fit, we'll evaluate. We'll see what we can do. There's Brandon. Glad to see Brandon. Hope your job's going well. Brandon is hustling. Talk about people who are hustling out there. Brandon, I talk to Brandon quite frequently. He's grinding it out. He's making moves. He's doing a great job. Love seeing people succeed. All right, let's get into some questions. I love the leadership questions here. I think this one's awesome as well. From Fasochi. In your opinion, what are the traits of a bad leader? Lord knows I've had my share of bad leaders. I'm sure you guys have probably had your share of bad leaders. There is a ton of bad leaders out there, regrettably. Regrettably, there's a ton of bad leaders out there. Some of this is going to sound cliche, but I think some of you, when you hear these cliche things, you don't realize that it's actually that simple. Brian, you can hit ! Discord in chat, and you get access to the Discord from there. Actually, I think I got a button for that. Yay, my mods made me a button. Look, I got a button. Listening. Neil, that's cheesy. I know it's cheesy, but do you realize the value of listening in leadership? Like, there are so many leaders who don't listen. Now, what does listening look like? When you go talk to your leadership, What percentage of the time are they talking versus what percentage of the time are you talking? When they're offering solutions, are they offering solutions that you think they should be offering, or are they offering solutions that help you in your career? Right? There's a misconception that if you go complain to your boss and your boss doesn't do what you think that your boss needs to do, that they're a bad leader. And that's just not the case, right? Your leadership is about guiding the team as a whole. And so it's the leader's role to look at the team as a whole and try to make sure that they're navigating all the challenges. And so you may get advice. This is, you need to be actively listening as well when you're asking for assistance from your leader as well, right? And so they may say, you do this or do that, or have you considered this or have you considered that? You need to really take heart that they're not being a bad leader simply because they didn't give you the answer that you wanted to hear. Matthew on YouTube says it correctly, right? Right? A gatekeeper who's eager to close off access to anything because you don't know anything, instead of using that same energy to point you in the right direction. But again, I would double down on that, and I would say, don't think that you have all the answers. Don't assume that they're a bad leader because you didn't like the answer that they gave. Think about that for a second. I want everybody to take a minute and think about that. Invariably, I've seen people go to their leaders to talk about something, didn't get the response that they wanted, come back and said, man, I hate my boss. He's so sucky. Why? Well, I asked to go to training and he said no. Well, did you tell him what the business value was of you going to training? Well, no, I shouldn't have to. He should just send me to training because. No. That's not him being a bad leader. That's actually him being a good leader. Like it or not, that's him being a good leader because he's trying to teach you that you can't just be a kid and walk into your boss's office and say, I want. He wants you to think about it. He wants you to phrase it. That's not gatekeeping. That's not gatekeeping. What that is that's an educational moment. I think some of you forget that a leader's role is to guide you. Right? It's to guide you. And so I think that's another trait of a good leader versus a bad leader. Is the leader guiding you in a way that's good for your career? And when I say guidance, like talk to the folks who have been in this community. I saw Security Guru guy over on YouTube talks about nice to see all the OGs still kicking here. Talk to some of the OGs here. The people who have learned to transcend the technical stuff and think about the business and think about your soft skills and think about all these things have been successful in this industry. So your leader isn't there to teach you how to run Metasploit. Right? Your leader is there to teach you about those esoteric things. Jess said it best. Jess said a really good one right there, right? Leaders without courage unimpress me. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Being a leader takes courage. I think this is funny. You want a hot take? Here's a hot take for a couple of you. Some of you shun leadership. Oh no, I want to be a hacker forever. I want to stay hands on keyboard. Is that it? Or do you lack the courage to lead? Oh, see, here we go. Opposing takes. This is what I love about this community. Send it, baby. Send it. This is a bad take. This is a bad take right here. I would argue if you don't want to lead, you don't have the courage to lead. You don't have the courage to step up and be an example for the people around you. Let that one set in for a minute. That's my belief. That's my belief. Right? I'll tell you a story. Leadership is the last thing that people expect of themselves. So, mark of a good leader, they don't expect to be leaders. And let me give you an example of that. Right? It actually has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with the military. When I joined the Air Force, at the age of 24. I did my 24th birthday in basic training. I can't even begin to tell you how stressful it was to be able to, not tell everybody in basic training that it was my birthday, because I knew I was going to catch a load of shit if I told everybody that it was my birthday in basic training. I was not going to do that. But I was 24 when I was in basic training. And I had read of what to expect in basic training. And I went into basic training basically being like, I'm going to stay in the back of the line. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not volunteering for anything at all, period, dot. I had already had it in my head that I was going to be the fly on the wall, the invisible person for 6 weeks in basic just to get out of there unscathed. So I think we're week 2 in basic. So anybody who's in chat who's been through basic training, hopefully, I don't know how similar your stories are, but feel free to share your own similar stories in chat as I talk about them. But one of the first things that they teach you in basic training is how to line up in lines, left to right, shortest to tallest. Now, I'm the shortest. I'm 5'7", so I'm in the back left of the line. And we're all standing there, drill sergeants yelling at us. I'm in the back of the line. In the very front position, so there's 5 people in the front position. They're all called element leaders, right? Because they're leading the element, right? And they were pointed to by the drill sergeant and said, you're the tallest person in this line, therefore you're a leader, right? So that's an example of leadership pointing to other people and saying, I have no business appointing you a leader, however, I'm appointing you a leader. So they pointed to the tallest person in the line and said, you, my friend, are an element leader, which was not me. I was in the back of the line. So, we're marching and we're doing drills and all this other stuff that they do in basic training. And the element leader that I have is completely screwing the pooch. Like, he's really messing it up pretty terrible, right? And I'm just like, God, can this dude not get it right? Like, what is so hard about getting a bunch of people to walk in a line? Like, what is going on? So one day, we're all standing outside, 100-degree heat in San Antonio, Texas, in the middle of the summer. Drill sergeant's yelling at my element leader, you suck, blah, 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 blah. Can you not do anything right? Blah, 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 blah. He turns around to the whole flight, and he said, is there not somebody here who's brave enough to lead this element better than this individual here? And without thinking about it, my hand shot up. And no sooner could I get it down, did he see it, and he come back here and he said, Airman Bridges, front of the line. You're now element leader. And I was scared shitless because I was like, what are you doing? You had literally agreed that you were going to keep your head down for 6 weeks and do nothing. What are you doing? But through sheer courage and a willingness to not fail, I led that element for the remainder of the time in basic training. And we got one of the more distinguished awards in basic training as a flight because we had a great leadership team. And so that's what I mean by leadership takes courage, is that you have to look at a situation and say, we have to do better as a team. Therefore, somebody has to step up to lead. I'm going to do it. Has nothing to do with paperwork, has nothing to do with this messed up hot take right here. Right? That's why I say this hot take is bad. Has nothing to do with whether you can or can't do the job. It has everything to do with the courage to step up and conquer the situation. And so Jess hit the nail on the head. Leaders need courage. There's a small leadership soapbox for you. Oh, here's a good one. I like this one. What if the CISO is not considering real incidents? He is waiting for sales opportunities. Is he a good leader? I mean, there's a lot to that statement that's lacking context, right? There's a lot to that statement that's lacking context. I think that, like, every leader has a goal. Let's talk esoterically, right? You know, I don't want to, you know, we're not gonna poo-poo on your CISO, you know, because we don't know them, we don't know the context or anything else like that. But let's kind of take that statement and let's break it down a couple different ways, right? You should. Jess, I hope you're okay with this. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit in chat, you know, just based on a conversation you and I had earlier this week, right? You use the word real incidents. I literally was speaking with one of your... Okay, good. She's okay with that. So Orc Bakes Cakes in chat, you know, we were chatting, having our usual mentor session, and she was talking about what her learnings have been in her role. And it's real easy when you're new to cyber, when you're new to the role of a SOC analyst or a pen tester or a GRC analyst or whatever the case is, to think that your definition of a real incident should be the most important thing in your organization. Let that sink in for just a second, right? It's real easy from your perspective to think that a real incident is the most important thing in the world. And Jess and I talked about this because as she's dealing with these incidents, she's like, God, why can't these companies just do fundamental cyber things? Passwords, MFA, stuff like that. Right? And I don't think some of you realize until you grow up in this industry, and I don't mean that from a derogatory perspective, but when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. For my folks who live outside the United States, that's a common American euphemism to articulate that when your job as a hammer is to hit nails, everything looks like a nail. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's a screw. Maybe you're not supposed to hit it like a hammer. Maybe you're supposed to use a different tool. And so it's real easy to get caught up in your definition of what a real incident is, and maybe you don't see the bigger picture that, yes, the CISO does. Now listen, I've sat in your shoes. I've sat in your shoes and been under the tutelage of CISOs and went, God, if I was sitting in that chair, I could do it 101 times better. I've done it. It's not uncommon. I'm not saying you're wrong for it. Please, I want everybody who hears my voice to think that they can do it better than me or the next CISO. Please, dear God, say you can. Do you think that I'm upset that there are people who hack better than me now? Hell no. Please, dear God, evolve. Evolve past me. For the love of all that is holy, evolve past me. Please, I need you to. But at the same time, realize that while you may think you know better, that's all you're doing is you're just thinking, you're surmising, you're hypothesizing, you're assuming that you know and that you can do better. And so I'd be cautious with a statement like this, classifying a good or a bad leader based on your definition of what you think they should or should not be caring about. If you wanted to be a good follower, and yes, that's a thing. There is such a thing. You have to be a good follower before you can be a good leader. If you wanted to be a good follower, my advice to you is to go talk to your CISO and say, I had this incident. You had this sales initiative. You chose this sales initiative over this incident. Can you explain to me why? And hopefully that CISO has the courage to tell you why. And maybe then you'll understand that maybe it wasn't a lack of leadership, but a courage to make the right decisions. But you're not going to know until you become a better follower. I don't waste a breath questioning my boss. If I think something is amiss, I will walk into Matt's office in a heartbeat and be like, "Hey boss, can you explain to me why you did this thing? Because I don't agree with it." You've got to be willing to do that if you want to grow. And if you can't do that, then you're not being a good follower and you're not fit just yet to be a good leader. I know that question got discussed a lot in chat. Hopefully my take on it kind of added some context to that as well. Lots of questions in chat. Lots of great questions in chat. Here's a good one. From YouTube, Need Keygen, is it possible to make a career only using Wireshark? Is there something like Wireshark expert position? Not really. Best you could hope for would be like a network engineer. Right? But Wireshark's a troubleshooting tool. So if you replace Wireshark with troubleshooting tool, is there a position where you're doing nothing but troubleshooting all day, every day? Yeah, help desk. Good job. There you go. Go be your help desk. Go be a network help desk. Go look at Wireshark all day, every day. Wireshark is just a tool in a toolbox. You should not build your career. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to pause for effect. You should never, ever build your career off a singular tool. Please don't do that. That's how AI takes your job. I was told a CISO has a roughly, this is also from YouTube. Good job, YouTube. YouTube's cranking out the questions, baby. Matthew over on YouTube says, I was told a CISO has roughly a 2-year lifespan before they move on. This is a hot take. There's a lot to unpack on that. CISO life is hard, right? I'm not saying it's. I would never say it's the hardest thing in cyber. I think I don't think that there is a hardest thing in cyber. But it's definitely challenging, right? Let's talk about CISO roles really quick for those who don't understand or haven't thought about, CISO roles very much, right? Chief Information Security Officer, they are the highest responsible person. Elite Tech says it right. Yeah, the hardest thing in cyber is being in cyber. Ain't that the truth? They are the person responsible for owning the risk for the entire organization. Notice that's what I said. Like, that's it. They own the risk for the entire organization. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, thank you very much, cyber insurance. Thank you very much, board of directors. Thank you very much, this misconception and lack of understanding about cyber. Thank you for all of this. Numerous people believe that means that they can defer risk to the CISO. Now, what does it mean to defer risk? Let's go back to our multi-factor authentication example. I'll tell this story. This is a story I can tell. It's been long enough. I don't imagine that I'd be giving anything away for this. See you, Dustin. It's good to see you too, buddy. Good to see you as well. I was one of the first incidents I was a part of for a particular company was a phishing account compromise where the adversary had contacted the help desk. And hey, Callie, I was hoping to see you last night. Thank you, Elite Tech, for the donation. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you. The attackers had called the help desk, got the password reset for the CFO for the sole purpose of getting into the CFO's retirement account. And all of this happened because we didn't have multi-factor authentication on. So when we talk about risk deference, so obviously not having multi-factor authentication on is a risk. You have 3 choices that you can do when you have risk. You can accept it, you can mitigate it, or you can remediate it. Right? And those are 3 different things, right? You can accept that you have a risk. You can mitigate it by putting in some mitigating control, but the risk doesn't ever really actually go away. Or you can remediate the risk. You can fix it all together, right? So obviously in the multi-factor authentication example, remediating the risk is implement MFA, right? But maybe mitigating the risk is, you change your password policy for the CFO, right? Or you accept that you don't have MFA and you say, well, I accept that risk as a business that we're going to continue to have these problems. Right? So that's what we mean by now. So what a lot of leaders were doing, and when I say leaders, I'm not talking CISOs, when the CISO first came onto the scene, a lot of people were like, oh, sweet. We got these guys who manage risk for our organization. We don't have MFA. Let the CISO deal with it. Whoa. No. That's not how this works. Like it's not a question of just let the CISO deal with it. You still have to accept it, mitigate it, or remediate it. Yeah. You decide. Do you want to accept it, remediate it, or mitigate it? Oh, I want to remediate it. Okay, well, go forth and remediate it. I can't go forth and remediate it. Well, why not? Because IT owns the authentication systems. I need IT to go turn on Enterprise MFA inside of Office 365. And then all of a sudden, Enterprise IT's over there like, whoa. Hold on there, bud. We got some contractors that don't have phones in other countries. They can't use the token. We've got legacy computers that don't support MFA. It's a 12-month project. It would cost $15 million onto my budget at the end of the year. And then all of a sudden, this is how it happens. This is how it happens. Right? That's the life of a CISO, is it's constant negotiation. It's constant, how do you handle this risk? It's constant, how do you get the enterprise teams to work with you to remediate or mitigate the risk? How do you get business leaders to accept the risk at the right level? Right? And that's just dealing now. So this goes back to the CISO chose sales over an incident, right? So think about all of this in the context of that statement that you've got, right? And that's just dealing with incidents. What if they're dealing with new projects? What if they've got to deal with their team that wants a new SIM or wants a new EDR or wants a new query federated search tool, right? What if they've got to deal with, the board asking them how they protect manufacturing sites? What if it's WannaCry and your manufacturing line just got shut down because you were using a third-party pay vendor in Ukraine that you didn't know about? So there's all this risk in an enterprise that an enterprise has had to deal with for 150 years before they ever had a CISO. And they've been dealing with it since long before they had a CISO, so why do they need you now? Right? And so 2 years is actually relatively short. I saw BSEC joke about it being 18 months. I would say, typically speaking, a CISO's life in an enterprise is about 3 years, about 36 months. You look on average, that's about average, right? I think it's starting to change here a little bit, but that is generally what it is. The reason that is what it is because the first year that a CISO is there, they're trying to wrap their head around everything. They are trying to figure out, who the people are, who the leadership is, where is the risk, what hasn't been done. It's situational awareness, right? If you go back to incident response training, it's I got to identify the working environment that I am in. What is going on? So after that year of figuring it out, they then get to sit down and say, okay, now that I know the environment that I'm operating in, what realistically, and I want you to hear those words very, very clearly. I'm gonna step into the microphone and I'm gonna talk softly. What realistically can I hope to achieve as a CISO before my tenure here is over? Lord knows every CISO in the world wants to land on the moon. I don't think there's a CISO in the world that doesn't want to do everything for their team, but they know that there is a competing line of what can I get done before there's a breach that's got my name attached to it. Because that's what they're fighting against. They want to have some win attached to their name before they have some loss attached to their name. So they spend year two focusing on getting the 1, 2, 3, 4 initiatives, however many it was, put into place. Because by that time, they're coming up on year 3 and they're looking for an exit strategy. They're like, I got to get out of here before fecal matter hits the oscillating device. And so they spend that last year wrapping everything up, hiring a headhunter, moving on with their career. And they get out of there. And then what happens is the new CISO comes in and there's a breach. And they say, well, it was the previous guy's fault, but nobody cares because the previous guy's already left. He's already got his new job, so nobody's going to run him through the mud. And now it's your fault because you're the new CISO on the block, so you got to deal with it. Nobody's going to blame you because you're new on the block. But maybe you get lucky because now there's a breach, so now you get a ton of money, which makes your year 2 initiatives a lot more prosperous. But you're still out of there in 3 because if they got popped once, you don't want to be there when they get popped again. That's obviously a very cynical take on being a CISO, but that is the running status quo of CISO life. Now I see people in there talk about like, Thunder Mark says some CISOs are so good that they can even have the handle of a breach attached to their name. Yeah, there's even some companies I've seen some companies that have specifically asked for CISOs who have been part of breaches because they've got war experience. They've got battlefield experience. I'd love to see more of those. That would really turn some people on their heads, right? If we started hiring CISOs that have battlefield experience. But because of what I just described there, that's what creates an atmosphere in cybersecurity that says, I only want to be a CISO for 3 years because I don't want to have a breach attached to my name because organizations are so effed up that it's going to be so hard for me to achieve some objective. So, that's what I said. There's lots to unpack in that statement. Listen, I want to say something explicitly clear about being a CISO, right? I love every minute of it. I love every minute of it, and I especially love it because I'm working for a startup. I am everything from the CISO to the security analyst to the sales engineer to the solutions architect to the PwC consultant. And I love every minute of it. I love owning all of that risk. There's something intrinsically exciting about playing with fire. You know what I'm talking about. I know there's some people here. There are some people here. When I say playing for fire, you're like, where's fire? Can I go play with it? Huh? Can I go play with some fire? I want to go play with some fire. Right? It's exciting. Like, listen, being a CISO is exciting. And I wasn't the CISO at Abbott, but I was deputy. I reported to Bobby. And there's something exciting. I say all that to say, like, when you start to realize that your responsibility is global. Your responsibility, when I was at Abbott, I was responsible for protecting an $80 billion company. We had 7 business units that did anything from make formula for babies to putting pacemakers in your heart to testing the blood sugar with Freestyle Libre to having brain implants. I was in charge of making sure that people stayed alive. From birth to death. You know how thrilling it is to sit there at the end of the day and be like, yeah, this is exciting. Right? That's what keeps most of us in cyber, right? Is that thrill of knowing that you are a battlefield fighter on the front lines of defending an organization from people attacking you day in and day out every day. So it may be stressful. There's definitely a lot of stigma with it, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Yes, lots of fire. I love the chat. Keep the chat coming. Keep the questions coming. You see, this is our Friday morning AMA stream. We are here hanging out on a Friday, answering all your questions. Answer all your questions while I got the players up. My boy Rory's teeing off at 1 p.m. My man Crush teeing off at 1 p.m. Let's see what other questions we got here. Let's get some more questions going. This is a fair question. This is a fair question. How can you accept that risk? This is referring to my MFA one, right? How can you accept that risk and sleep at night? That's a fantastic question. The CISO doesn't accept risk. I'll pause for effect on that one. If you're a CISO hearing my voice and you're accepting risk, you're asking to be sued, thrown in jail, skewered by the SEC, fired from your job. You know why the CISO doesn't accept risk? Because the CISO isn't a business owner. The CISO isn't a business owner. And so therefore, the CISO can't accept risk on behalf of the business. Only people with fiduciary business responsibilities delegated by the CEO or the CEO himself can accept risk on behalf of the business. And so the CISO should be able to sleep at night pretty well. Because you know what he does? He goes back to the front lines. He goes back to the troops sitting in the SOC. He goes back to the GRC folks and says, well, guess what? The CEO has just accepted the risk of not having MFA on our Office 365 environment. Oh my God, Neil, does the CEO understand that we're going to get hacked or attempted to be hacked every day because we don't have MFA? Yeah, I've explained that to him. And he's agreed to give us $10 million more a year to do our best to fight this. Okay. Yes, sir. We're going to continue to fight. And this is important for your mental health. This gets back to that we just talked about. Like how can you accept the risk and sleep at night? You have to learn to. Because the business leader has accepted the risk. This is something I want everybody to hear this, because I know there are pen testers who are like, no, I hacked your stuff. How dare you accept that as a risk? The Greta Thunberg meme or whatever her name is, right? How dare you? How dare you? The business can do that, and some of you have got to learn to accept that. You've got to learn to accept that the business is willing. Listen, I've told this story before too, right? I've told this story before too. There are businesses who realize that it is cheaper. For those who don't understand, 1 is less than 10. That's cheaper, right? It is cheaper to pay the fines. It's cheaper to pay the SEC. It's cheaper to pay for the credit monitoring. It's cheaper to pay the GDPR fine. It's cheaper to do that than it is to hire a security team. Jeff and I have a running bet for the company that owns Vans, who stealthily released their 10K Friday at 4 o'clock saying that they had a material cybersecurity incident. Their stock is down 1/4. My bet is either in Q2 or Q3 of this year, we're going to see the stock go back up. Because it has been proven, the market has proven that we may slap a company on the wrist for having a material data breach, but we'll go back and buy their stuff. Let me ask you this. Nobody who's listening to me right now isn't using a single piece of technology that is devoid of a cybersecurity incident. Take a look around. Every single person across every single platform right the F now is using some piece of technology or accesses some website or uses some business that has been part of a breach, that has had personal data stolen. You, the consumer, refuse to speak with your wallets because a company fails to uphold cybersecurity standards. And because you, as a consumer, refuse to speak with your wallets as a majority, companies don't care. And that, my friends, is business risk 101. And the sooner you learn about that in cyber, the better off your career will be. Right? The business risk will always win. Listen, and again, I've said this before. Some of you want to be hackers. Some of you are hackers. But you know what every single one of you refuses to do? Hack the system. Y'all want to hack domain controllers and websites, and you want to do phishing campaigns, you want to do physical penetration tests, you want to go watch, people on TikTok with their flipper zeros, flipping the little screens on the ball game or opening doors or opening Teslas. You all want to do all that cool shit. You all want to hack that stuff, but what none of y'all want to do is none of you want to hack the real systems that affect us on a day-to-day basis. None of you want to figure out how to hack the care of the consumer so that the consumer cares about cybersecurity. None of you want to hack the mentalities of the business leaders so the business leaders understand cyber. None of you want to hack how to make cyber a part of the business function so that you're brought to the table as a partner and not a line item on the P&L. All of you are going to fail as hackers. I'm going to say it right here. All of you are going to fail as hackers if you can't figure out how to hack what really matters. And it ain't the Tesla, and it ain't using a flipper zero, and it ain't all the shit that gets millions of views on YouTube and TikTok or anywhere else. When one of you figures out, when one of you has an epiphany moment that says, I got the CEO to understand, that's when you've beat cyber. That's when you've beat cyber. Soapbox back under desk. Sorry. I'm very, very passionate about that one because it is the motto of the show is demystifying cyber. And that is the biggest demystifying that we can do in this industry, is that flipper zeros and Tesla doors aren't what cybersecurity is about. Man, I love it. Love the chats in the morning. Welcome everybody who's here. This is our Friday morning AMA Tea with the Hacker. My name is Neil Bridges. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new to the chat, as you can tell, drop the questions in chat. We queue the questions up. We'll get as many of them answered as humanly possible. Make sure you hit that exclamation point Discord in chat. Hit that exclamation point socials. Get in our Discord. Come join the community. Get access to my social medias. Come join my golf journey. We have golf trading cards. Listen, hold on. I don't know if this person is listening. BSEC, clip this because I want to put this up. A couple weeks ago, I released some golf trading cards. Gave several of them away for free. But I pulled a set aside for anybody who wanted to participate in my golfing journey with me. And I don't know if this person is watching today. I don't know if this person will watch the VOD. And so I'm speaking specifically to this person because they know who they are. I don't. That's the beauty of this transaction is that this transaction was completely anonymous. And so I have no idea who this person is. It could be my hated enemy for all I know. I have no idea. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Somebody went to my OpenSea account and paid for one of my VIP trading cards to support my golf journey. That paid for 3 tournaments. If I know who you are, then I will make a special post and I'll thank you to them. But pay attention. The next 3 tournaments are on you. And I appreciate you for supporting me in this journey from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so very much for that. I do truly appreciate it. You didn't have to do it. And I recognize that. You chose to do it on your own. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. All right. There's a lot of really good questions here this morning. Holy cow. I'm having a heart I want to answer all these. Let's do this one. This one looks pretty interesting. How to get knowledge like top cybersecurity researchers who are participating in Pwn to Own like contests because I started to build my fundamentals. Can you please tell me what will be the good, probably the good stuff to learn? The Pwn to Own stuff is insane, right? Pwn to Own is all about exploitation. Just so you understand, like my journey with exploitation, I did exploitation at the NSA. I've taken tons of exploitation classes. I've got one, or I had, I don't know if it's still a 0 day to this day, but back in 2017, I found my first 0 day. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of coding. There's a lot of binary understanding. A lot of assembly language understanding. We're talking tons and tons of time coding. I don't typically advocate for cybersecurity professionals knowing coding. As a matter of fact, I think as a general rule, generally speaking, in cyber, you don't have to understand coding. But if you have a true desire to participate in Pwn to Own, if you have a true desire to be a super hardcore researcher, binary exploitation researcher, you got to know programming languages like people, understand recipes. Right? Like it is nuts to think about the level of programmatic understanding that it takes to be successful in Pwn to Own. Like I rarely use the term script kiddie, but Pwn to Own is not something where these guys are running like your off the shelf Kali tools and finding a use after free vulnerability in a random kernel or a random DLL inside of Windows, right? Like that's not how that works. These guys are in the code, reversing it through IDA, all of that stuff, day in, day out. Like the way that you hear me be about golf, That's how you have to be about coding and programming and binary exploitation. Hands down. I stopped after I learned how to do use after free, ROP, chain exploits, things like that, because I was done. I was like, nope, this is not for me. I thought I wanted to go down that path. Nope. I was really done after that, because it is a whole nother level of nuts. So fundamentals, you better understand the evolutionary chain of every programming language that exists out there down to the assembly level if you want to be good in that space. Without a doubt. Ever think about establishing a mentorship program? We have done mentors. Callie in Twitch chat. If you're in Twitch chat, Callie was one of our mentors. Cyber Lola was one of our mentors. Angry Amoeba was one of our mentors. We have done mentorship programs before. I don't know that we will do another mentorship program. Callie really was terrible. It was really terrible having Callie as a mentee. I mean, that dude is just like, you see this power brick? Like, that's what it's like trying to teach Callie anything. Just saying. Callie ruined it. If anybody wants to blame somebody for us not doing mentorship anymore, definitely blame it on Callie. It's 100% his fault. No, in all seriousness, Callie was great. We've done mentorship programs before. We transitioned out of mentorship programs for now. Top Mate, if you're interested in coaching, listen, there's a large distinction between coaching and mentoring. This is a hot topic too. This is something that comes up a lot, right? Neil, what's the difference between coaching and mentoring? Well, I'm glad you asked. I knew somebody was going to ask it. Mentoring is very esoteric. Oh, hey, how's it going at work? Well, I encountered this thing that happened at work today and I didn't really know how to deal with it. Oh, well, personalities can be weird and, you just need to learn to, deal with different personalities. And you see what I'm talking about? It's very high level. It's very esoteric. There's, I would almost call mentoring more motivational, more relationship than it is anything else. And I want to piggyback this with this comment that I just saw come up, because I don't think it's this black and white. It's not this black and white, right? Mentoring is a give and take, but mentoring is very esoteric and not very specific. I have a golf coach, but I don't have a golf coach because I pay for a golf coach. When I have a golf coach is when I go see my golf coach and I bring my scorecards to her and we look at my swing, I expect her to go, God, Neil, you suck. Most mentors won't tell you suck. Right? Most mentors just won't tell you suck. Most mentors are like, you're doing great. Everything's going to be all right. That's generalizing. I'm not being specific, but I want you to think about those differences, right? A coach is there to set goals for you and to keep you accountable for the goals. When you think about a personal training coach, when you think about a golf coach, when you think about an executive coach, when you think about a coach is like, all right, how much weight do you want to lose? Let's do that, right? how much weight do you want to lose? Oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. All right, cool. To lose 30 pounds, you need to consume 1,100 calories a day, and I'm going to need you to keep a track on paper, and I need you to work out in the gym for 30 minutes every day. And by the way, here are the exercises that I'm going to do. They're going to put you on a plan, right? They're going to put you on a plan that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then at the end of the week, they're going to look at the plan and say, okay, I told you to go to the gym every day of the week. Did you go to the gym every day of the week? And you're like, nah, I really wasn't really feeling it. Maybe I went to the gym once. Maybe I went to the gym twice, whatever the case is. And that coach is going to be like, MFer, you said you wanted to lose weight. You said you were going to go to the gym. Why didn't you go to the gym? That's a coach. That's what a coach is. Mentorship doesn't have that same type of relationship, right? I would almost look at coach, like I don't agree with this take. A coach is at the tactical level. If you come see me for coaching, you're going to walk away from a coaching experience with specific things to do because I'm going to make sure that you've accomplished what you needed to accomplish that you came to see me for. There's accountability there. Dude, if I don't get better between my coaching sessions, my golf coach is going to ream me. Right? It's not going to be a pleasant experience. Right? So I would say coaches are way more tactical and they help keep you accountable. Like, I think if you're lacking accountability in your journey, if you're lacking accountability in your studies, you need a coach. You don't need a mentor. Like, that's what I believe. Like, you can come here for mentorship. Like, what do you think I sit here and been doing for the last hour and a half? You think I just been like BSing for the sake of BSing? You've been getting an hour and a half of free mentorship here. Right? Coaching, Hunter says it best, right there. Perfect, exactly. Coaching has accountability. And that's honestly what some of you need more than mentorship, is you need accountability. Oh my God. Some of you lack accountability. I want to be in cyber, but you're not willing to put in the work. That's what you need. Speaking of being in cyber, Space Tacos over on YouTube. Happy Friday, cybersecurity. Quick update. I'm now working on my first cybersecurity audit. Get some claps in chat for Space Tacos. Somebody who took the mentorship and the coaching appropriately and put it into action. If you're interested in coaching, hit that exclamation point coaching in chat. I have coaching slots available. I'd be more than happy to help keep you accountable day in and day out. Sad Pongo says, I got a question about China's cyber guys. I'm not even going to pronounce that. Is opening a new operations center in Hong Kong. Do you think the Chinese will become more aggressive on the offensive in the coming years? If what you don't see is how aggressive Chinese offensive operations are, right? Remind everybody, right? I spent 10 years in the Air Force. A large portion of that was doing offensive cyber with the National Security Agency. I've been on the front lines, I've been in cyber dogfights, right? In bad people's computers against Russia, China, organizations like that. What you hear or read about are like this. What you hear or read about are no better than pen testers. The stuff you hear or read about in the news is no better skill set wise than pen testers. It's the stuff you don't hear about and you'll never hear about. That's the leet shit. That's the stuff that has national defense people scared. I can tell you there are teams, like we knew we had elite teams, and so we had to assume that there were teams that were as elite as us in China that we didn't know about. Right? So, like, they're, more aggressive. China is always aggressive, but so is the U.S., so is Russia, so is India, so is Syria, so is North Korea. Everybody is aggressive. There isn't a single offensive cyber country capability that isn't hyper aggressive. Yeah, you do. You kind of have to be. There are no rules. There is no consequences. This is why hacking groups get away with it, right? Because there are no consequences. You can literally go forth and continue to do bad stuff all day, every day, with zero accountability. Zero. And it's even, listen, you think that that's the case for cyber criminals? Countries do it under their national security authorities. Neil, what the hell does if China does it, it's spying, it's hacking, blah, 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 blah. What do you think it is when we do it? Hold on for a second. Do you think, realistically, ask yourself this, when I am sitting in Bashar al-Assad's computer, pulling down intelligence, do you think that that's not illegal hacking? There is a form called an SF-86. My military folks, my government folks know this form. About halfway through my career, when they realized that we had a cyber capability, they put a line at the bottom of the SF-86. That line at the bottom of the SF-86 said, have you ever illegally accessed a computer that you did not own? Do you know that nobody who works at the NSA can answer that question? Because if you answer it yes, you have to then get OPM to be read into a special access program so that you can talk about what computer you hacked into and why it was for national defense reasons. And if you say no, because you're under NDA, because you got a special access program clearance, you're lying on an SF-86 and they'll yank your clearance. That question was designed to catch people who weren't doing offensive cyber for their national defense. But you're still doing hacking in the real world. It's still a crime. And so cyber criminals are able to get away with it. And therefore, nation states are now able to get away with it even more because they're doing it under the guise of national defense. So nobody in their country is going to prosecute them. Like the United States is going to prosecute a PLA actor. Listen, when you see a Justice Department report that says we've issued an indictment for PLA person, blah, 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 blah. Like, unless that PLA person is stupid enough to travel to the U.S., they don't give a shit. I have a Chinese visa. Do you think I will ever step foot on Chinese soil? No. No, I will never step foot on Chinese soil. Ever. I have no idea what would ever happen to me if I stepped on Chinese soil. Ugh. Yeah, it's 100% because of the military background. What I did in the military. Oh, huge thank you to Applied Consistently for the super chat. Neil, I'm an ISSM in deciding which doctorate program to take. Would an AI ML program be more valuable versus a cybersecurity program if I focus my research on AI ML cybersecurity applications? I think there is a lot of potential. to be successful in AI ML. Both from a cybersecurity perspective as well as just being in the field. It is here to stay. And we go back to the business conversation we had before, right? Look at NVIDIA's stock price. NVIDIA has literally grown in stock price over 1,000% in the last 12 months because of the demand for chips for AI and ML. AI and ML is the future, as if that were any doubt, right? I've never said that it wasn't the future. It is here to stay. And so I don't think that it is a bad choice to get any type of degree in AI and ML. Give me just a second. I'm checking in on work and making sure I had a notification, so I'm just double checking and making sure it wasn't work related. As in like, hey, get over here right now. We have a crisis. I absolutely love that there are people from work who tune into me in the morning. Our chief marketing officer commented on my take on Steve Stricker being 57, not being that old. It's good to see you, Matt. I appreciate you. I think listen, a year ago or 2 years ago, people on the stream asked me all the time what I thought that they needed to get into to kind of be on the leading edge of cyber. And I had said, if you're not in cloud, you're behind. Today, if somebody were to ask me that same question today, I would say if you're looking for a way to be on the bleeding edge, if you're looking to lean forward into cyber, you better be in AI and ML. And it's not about AI or ML taking our jobs. That's not the goal. The goal is that AI and ML is here to stay. And so figuring out how it works, how you can take advantage of it, how you can use it to make your life easier, how you can manipulate that system. See, I talk about my work colleagues watching me, and then I got people like this who are texting me and being like, hey, Neil, are you at the Players? No, I'm talking to you. I'm not at the Players. I wish I was at the Players. If I was at the Players, I'd be streaming from the Players, but I'm not at the Players. I've heard crap things about Copilot BSEC. I've heard some just absolutely horrid things about Copilot. It has not gone well for Microsoft. It has not gone well for Microsoft. Everything's in its baby phase. Listen, this is why, like, again, so let's break this down for a second, right? BSEC's 100% right? AI is in its baby phase. So I'm going to hurt some of your feelings right now. So I'm saying this as a precursor. I want you to grab your big boy and big girl pants. I want you to put them on. If you didn't have them on already, because I'm going to hurt some of your feelings right now. All right, everybody got their big girl, big boy pants on? Here we go. Some of you ask me, hey, if I want to get in on the cutting edge of cyber, what should I go learn? And if I say you should go learn AI and ML, you're like, cool. Who's got the best certs in AI and ML? Hold on for a second. Hold on. That's not how cutting edge works. Cutting edge doesn't mean that you go take somebody else's certification, because if they've gotten smart enough to understand it, to teach it to you, do you really think it's cutting edge then? Do you really think you're on the bleeding edge if you're taking somebody else's how to secure AI and ML for cybersecurity? Is it cutting edge then? Some of you refuse to acknowledge that, oh, I want to be elite sauce. You can tell I choked up because that even hurt me to say. Some of you want to be elite sauce by being cutting edge, by learning great new skills that make you infinitely marketable in the space, but only if you can go pay somebody $10,000 at a boot camp to go learn it. And doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose? Right? You have to get out there and you have to put your hands on the technology. There are people, I just did a brief yesterday for somebody about people who are finding vulnerabilities in LLMs. Not a single one of those articles talked about, oh, we went to go read this other paper and then applied this other paper over here, and then boom, we found the vulnerabilities in the LLM. Right? What they did was they went out there and they started to play with it, and they started to figure out how it works, and then they started to understand the underlying technologies, and then they found the vulnerabilities by truly getting their hands dirty and understanding the technology. And applied consistency, don't misunderstand me. You can learn about the fundamentals of AI and ML in academia, without a doubt. I'm not saying don't go learn the fundamentals of AI and ML from places that have it, but cutting edge, if you're expecting to be cutting edge of pioneering cyber in AI and ML, you're not finding that in academia. Right? You're not finding how to hack into LLMs in academia. And I would argue, I'll make another bold statement. If somebody is teaching today a Udemy course, a Cyberry course, a Pluralsight course, a freaking video on YouTube on how to hack AI and ML, it's clickbait, it's a money grab, and it has no basis in actual fundamental cyber research. There, I said it. If somebody has a video out now claiming they will teach you, if somebody tries to charge you $10,000 to teach you how to be a hacker in AI and ML, it is a effing cash grab. And you deserve to get scammed. Right? If you want to be cutting edge, then you have to put yourself out there. You have to be uncomfortable. We get back to this courage conversation. You have to have courage to be uncomfortable to learn the stuff that you don't know. But I think there is a ton of money to be had. I think if you got good at this stuff, there is a metric ton of money to be had. 100%. I was bearish on AI until last year. Now I'm very bullish. And for me, it wasn't that ChatGPT was overly innovative from an AI perspective, but what it did, I'm getting to that one, Rose. I'm getting to that one. What I think ChatGPT did was the problem that we've had in cyber, right? Which made it relatable, made it adaptable for the consumer. When the common person, listen, I think my chief marketing officer is watching me right now. I love him to death. I love working with him. It's been a sheer joy over the last 18 months to work with him at Query. And so I say this with all love and respect to him. But we have conversations where I spend training time teaching him about cyber and technology. But you know what he understands? He understands ChatGPT, Gemini, Bard, whatever it is. He understands that. He understands how to use it. He understands how to leverage it. He's out there researching how to make his life more efficient and better using that technology. And he's not a technologist. He's not a cyber dude. He hasn't spent time hacking computers or sitting in a SOC answering questions. But he understands AI, even if it's got a face of ChatGPT. When that happens, when the consumer understands, it has crossed a precipice in the marketplace that has relevance. And so that's when I flipped from bearish to bullish on the matter, was because it became something that had a face in consumerism. And that's huge. ChatGPT solved that for AI in less time than I've been working in cybersecurity. In less time than most of you have been working in cybersecurity. Could you imagine how much further along we'd be as an industry if we could have done that? That's the difference right there. When that happens, all of you better be thinking about it. All of you better be figuring out how to make it part of your resume. All of you better be figuring out how to make it awesome. Because it's a thing now. It is definitely a thing. Switching gears. Can you do content about ISO 27001? Hell no. That is content I will stay a bajillion miles away from. Jerry, I don't know if Jerry's listening to me. Go see Gerald Auger. Go see Jax. Right? Go see Jax. They love to do that GRC content. They love to talk about NIST and ISO 27001. That's not me. That's not my jam. That's not my jam. Not my jam. Love those guys. Love the questions. But will I sit down? Will I sacrifice my sanity for you to sit down and do ISO 27001 content? No. Love you. No. Part of being a content creator is knowing where you draw the lines. This is a good one. What's your opinion on getting a business degree and doing cyber classes as an elective? 10 of 10 supports. 10 of 10 supports that. Right? I think, outside of the AI and ML question, I think if you, who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody. Oh, I was talking to, it was another coachee that I have. He has a bachelor's in business, and he's going to get his MBA in business right now. And that's because when we talked, he was like, should I pivot my MBA from business to cyber? And I was like, no, don't do that. An MBA in business will definitely carry you further up that value chain than an MBA in cybersecurity will. So I support that. I think that's a fantastic strategy. Go forth and be awesome. This one from YouTube from Kelvin. Just want your take on an aspiring pen tester. What can one do to be good in this field and stand out? Brr. Listen, standing out is relative, right? Do you think, and again, I go back to some of the things I've said here today. Do you think having PNPT or OSCP or EJPT or SEC Plus or CISSP, do you think those stand out these days? Ask yourself seriously that. Everybody's got a smartphone in front of them. I want you to open up the camera app on your smartphone, and I want you to flip that camera around so you're looking at it in the mirror. I want you to ask yourself, do I stand out with PNPT or OSCP or CISSP? And really look at yourself and ask yourself, do you think you really stand out? And if you don't come to the conclusion that I'm leading you to, then I think that's something you have to overcome in cyber first. Right? When people ask me how to stand out, I think that what they're looking for is, what cert do I get? Do I have to have CVEs? Like, some of you have your own opinion about standing out, but you're thinking about standing out from all of the other people in cybersecurity. Are all of the other people in cybersecurity the people you're trying to impress? Who are you trying to impress? Who? Why do you want to stand out? Right? There is a member of this community. Some of you will know this as soon as I tell this story. There's a member of this community who loves customer success roles, which is basically help desk. You know that he's got several successful bug bounty payouts? You know why you don't know that? Because he's not putting it out there to impress you. But when I went to go pitch him to a hiring manager who was looking for a customer success person, and I said, oh yeah, by the way, he's also highly technical and he's out there on HackerOne doing bug bounties. That hiring manager went, oh really? That's impressive. So you have to ask yourself, as an aspiring pen tester, just like you would do aspiring pen tester, because most of you know that that's my favorite statement in the entire world. You have to assess your target. You have to recon your target. And you have to understand how your target works so that you understand how to position your attack to be the most successful. So, if you're looking for a way to stand out, I hate to be esoteric in this regard, but I think that there's a ton of examples that I've given over the years about how to stand out. And it has nothing to do with going out and getting a CVE attached to your name, and has nothing to do with going out and getting a cert, and has nothing to do with, anything like that. And it has everything to do with caring about what the business cares about. I'll piggyback with this one because I do think this is a fantastic follow-on question. This one came from Mr. CEC over in Twitch. What about Synac Red Team program to gain some entries on the resume? Is it worth? I think Synac Red Team, HackerOne, Bug Crowd, I think any of those bug bounty platforms, any of those that you can participate in, hopefully you'll be successful. Don't get your hopes up if you're not. Right? But any of those platforms, A+ in my regard, right? For getting some entries on your resume. You absolutely should be doing those. Very much like Applied Consistency says over here, right? Oh my God, where was it? Right? Here. Truthfully, to stand out, you have to do everything you should do and a little more, right? If you want experience, you should be on those platforms doing a free pen test for bug bounties. This is the worst time in the world to be looking for a job. I don't know how, I was talking with somebody the other day, I was on a coaching call with somebody. And they were looking for a job and they were struggling to find a job. And I said to them, listen, the first thing you have to understand about jobs these days is that now is the absolute worst time to find a job. If you are contemplating quitting because you're a sensitive snowflake, or because you think your boss is mean, or because they're making you come into the office 3 days a week, or you just don't like the flavor of the water that they have in the office, now is the worst time to be looking for a job. I said this to somebody in Discord. This is this is hard truths. This is what you come here for. If you are ungrateful because you're not doing the cool stuff, buckle up, Buttercup. Buckle up, Buttercup. You got to grind right now. You got to deal with whatever situation you're in right now, and you got to find a way to make the most of it. Because if you're trying to be, 2 years, 20% up and out right now, you're in for a rude awakening. There are people out there 6, 8, 12, 13, 18 months, 24 months still looking for a job. Now is not your time to be looking for a job. This is why it's important to understand business. Right here, this question. Right? This question right here is why it's important to understand business. Why is it bad? Because of the interest rates that the Federal Reserve has imposed upon companies in the U.S., because of inflation globally. And if you're like, how does inflation and interest rates mean that I don't get a job? That's because you don't understand business. Damn it, Neil, I came here to learn how to be elite hacksaw. How dare you talk to me about business? Welcome to Cyber Insecurity. Hit that exclamation point Discord, hit that exclamation point socials, follow me for more real world advice, because this is the stuff that those massive influencers with millions of views on TikTok and, YouTube and, talking about like doing this and that with Flipper Zero and all this stuff with the dark web. This is the stuff they're not telling you because it's not clickbaity. So you know what? You go have fun, with your clickbaity titles over on YouTube and TikTok, and when you realize that stuff's not reality, you can come on back here and you can get a dose of reality with us. That's fine too. Right? Because interest rates have gone up, companies can't afford to carry debt the way that they did when they were growing a few years ago. When interest rates are low, businesses can take risk. Oh my God, there's that risk question again. Neil, stop saying risk, please. I'm waiting for BSEC to be like, is this the new ROI? Businesses can't take the risk when interest rates are high on having a large headcount on their P&L. They can't carry the debt. So what do? They start trimming fat. The biggest fat contributor, much like the carbs on my waistline, the biggest fat contributor to a company is headcount. Like it or not, you are a piece of fat on the P&L. Right? And so the first place, and so when the bean counters, come through and say we got to trim 15% of our expenses, they're not looking at what you do or what you don't do or how important you are or anything like that. They're saying, cool, across the board, we got to trim 15%. And so they start, I have unfortunately been in those conversations, and the way it happens is the CISO gets word from the CIO, who gets word from the CFO. The CISO comes down and tells all of us, hey guys, I'm sorry, but you got to identify 5 people each from each of your teams that you're willing to do without. And that is gut-wrenchingly hard. That is gut-wrenchingly hard. Because I can tell you nobody wants to be in that position. Nobody wants to look at their head count and, number one, think about the people that they've, especially leading a SOC team where you have fought the bad guys with on a day-to-day basis. Nobody wants to think about letting those people go, let alone the implication of having 5 less people to support your organization. But unfortunately, you're going to lose that argument. You're going to lose that conversation. You're going to have to give up 5 names, just like your peers are going to have to give up 5 names. Next thing you know, you're part of that 20% that's getting laid off. All because the bean counters, the money people, have said you need to trim fat. That has nothing to do with whether a company cares about cyber or not. Somebody's got to get laid off. 15% has got to get cut off the P&L. Doesn't matter whether you're in cyber, finance, accounting, marketing, wherever, 15%'s got to go. So don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. It's just business. But at the same time, if you think that you are entitled to a 20% raise in this economy, you're just asking to be part of that 15%. Tails, good to see you. Have a good evening. I don't make the rules. I just break them to you. All right. We've been at it for a couple hours now. Quite a bit. Actually, you know what? I want to end on a good story. BSEC, can you find me somebody to raid? See if there's anybody in science and technology to raid. Let's do a good story. Let's see if we can find a good story to talk about. Let's see if we can find a good story. Who's got a good question? Who's got a good positive question? I'll lead with this one. This one's pretty good. Right? What are your thoughts on a Neil Bridges golf tournament and CTF? I wish so hard. I see that one from Neil. I will answer that one here in a little bit. I'll answer that one next because I think that's a good one to end on. But I like this question too. Oh, that's a good one too. Rose has got a great question too. Okay, couple more questions. I wish for an opportunity. So I told you we built the golf simulator in the house. I've thought about, and we had one volunteer from the mod team to test this idea out. We may still do it. But we wanted to set up an interview. So typically, I do interviews remote. We've got Jeff or somebody here. What I wanted to do was invite Jeff or somebody to the house, and we play 9 holes on the simulator and answer questions while we do a golf tournament between the two of us. That's why I started to move some of the stream stuff into the golf simulator room, was so that we could stream an interview while we were playing 9 holes of golf on the simulator. BSEC, you'd whoop me just because you'd hit me with a golf club, or the first time you shanked one and put it through the wall, Carmen would come up here and stab you on camera, and then we'd have a whole different conversation we'd be having to have on stream. Just saying. Now that I've talked about layoffs, there's a lot of questions that are coming through about layoffs. I'm gonna talk about these questions. I think these questions about layoffs are crazy important. I do think these questions about layoffs. So I will hold here and I'll talk about these layoff questions here a little bit. Carmen, I'm gonna tell her you said that. You're now gonna get banned from the house. Just saying. I want to do a couple of these, right? So there's two really good questions here about what I just talked about from like a recession economy perspective. I want to answer these. So I think these are super important if you're dealing with these right now, right? I think these are great segments to kind of talk about. So listen, I see Kavion, there's lots of people who are still hiring. This isn't saying that there aren't jobs out there. This is saying that there is a supply and demand problem, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, right? I want to answer this one first really, really quick, right, from Neo. What do we do in the meantime? Just study more. I think that that's putting it mildly. The thing you should be thinking about is upskilling, right? Think about everything we just talked about from a standing out perspective. Think about everything we just talked about from how do you get a job? How do you find a job? How do you stand out amongst things like that, right? All that type of stuff. You should be thinking about what are the things that you can do that bolster the meat on that resume. What's going to make you, and listen, all right, man, whether it's soapbox or big boy and big girl pants on, either I'm going to stand on my soapbox or you guys are going to put on some big boy and big girl pants, because here we go again. I have talked to several people who have gotten their first job in cybersecurity and have stopped learning about cyber. What'd you say, Neil? They've landed their dream jobs and they've stopped growing. You know why that is? The reason for that, there's a great saying. It's from one of the motivational speakers I listen to. What does the gazelle do when the lion isn't chasing them? They get complacent. They've got no external motivating factors. Most of you right now are hustling to get into cybersecurity because your motivation to be at the level better than what you're at right now is driving you to be successful. But some of you think that once you've crossed the line, once you've achieved that goal, once you've gotten that job, that external motivation no longer exists. And so you stop learning, you stop growing. So if you're looking for something to do, if you're wondering where you need to be, who do you think that you can be better than in your time off? You can be better than the people who have decided to be complacent in their job searches, people who have decided that they're good where they're at. Right? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be just where you are, or do you want to be one more notch above where you are? You need to decide. Do you need that external factor? What is that external factor that needs to motivate you? And are you willing to find it within yourself? Because what could happen is you could get laid off and you could be asking this question. Right? Or this question. You should be thinking that you are not safe. Right? Now, listen, I want to make something expressly clear. I am not advocating for a toxic grind mentality. I'm not advocating that you lose sleep, take time away from your family. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm advocating for is for you to accept that you are not safe. I'm not safe. I work for a startup. Anything could happen tomorrow. I don't want it to. I'm fighting desperately for it not to. I'm willing this thing into existence, but I have to accept that anything could happen tomorrow. And so you are not safe. Once you realize that you are not safe, hopefully that is enough motivation for you to decide what it is that you need to do to make yourself safe. What do you need to learn? Who do you need to talk to? What responsibility do you need to take? What do you need to step up to do? You should ever be thinking, what do you need to do to be safe? And if you're thinking along those lines, then that's what you should be doing in this time. If you are impacted by the layoffs, first and foremost, please join this Discord. Please join our community. We have a large community of people who would love to help you. I don't think I've seen, a group of folks come together to help people find roles as the cyber insecurity community, and I couldn't be more proud. When things were going great, we had one individual in this community who landed their first cyber job at a company, and then immediately as that company was starting to grow and hire more people, hired, I think, somebody keep me honest on this, 4 or 5 more people out of the community to get them jobs as well. That's part of the benefits. When I talk about networking, doing that 1,000 Connect challenge, making sure that you're networking with folks and making sure that you're in contact with your network so that if you are impacted by layoffs, you have somebody to talk to. You have somebody to fall back on. Right? Listen, layoffs will never be something that anybody can prepare for. It is hard, and it will hit you like a ton of bricks. It will be emotional. It will be jarring to your core. I've been through several in my time. And I could tell you that if it happened today, if I got off this stream and Matt called me and said, Neil, we've got to let you go, I'd still go in the other room and cry. I'd still be hurt and devastated. Right? It doesn't matter how many years you've been in this or how long you've been doing this. It is not something that you could be prepared for. Reach out to us. Reach out to this team. Reach out to this family that we have in cyber insecurity, because we will be there for you. We will be there to help you. I promise you that. There isn't a single person in here that I don't feel that I can't vouch for that would love to help you through this time, because that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you understand that this is okay. But in the meantime, do everything that you can to prepare for it today, and hopefully it never comes to that and we get to the other side of this really, really soon. All right. With that being said, this will be the question that we'll end on, and then we're going to go raid somebody. If you've never been part of our raid before, what we do is we take the entire viewership on Twitch. Unfortunately, we can't raid anybody on YouTube or LinkedIn, but so I encourage you, if you have the time, hop over to Twitch. That way you can kind of make somebody's day better. Speaking of making people's days better, we're going to take our entire Twitch viewership and we're going to go raid a small streamer, which means we're going to take our entire viewership. We're going to go to their channel. They're usually a small streamer. So think about where we were 3 years ago, where we only had me and my wife and maybe a few people like BSEC, who was a glutton for punishment, watching us. BSEC, can you check that name versus the one you gave me? Let me know in chat. Or let me know in mod chat. Everybody starts out small, and so it means a lot. We talk about keeping people's spirits high. It means a lot to these small streamers to bring an audience of our size to them, and so we're going to go raid them. and we're going to make a positive impact on their life. And that's what we're all about here, is make a positive impact on people's lives. Are you happy? I want to tell you that I am incredibly happy. And I'll be the first to testament how happy I am. I want to remind you, I have stage 4 cancer. I want to put this in perspective for you. If my treatments had not been successful, I would not be sitting here in front of you today. Let that sink in for a second. If my treatments had not been successful, I would not be sitting in front of this camera in front of the hundreds of you today. What in this world do I not have to be happy for? I am incredibly happy. I have a beautiful, wonderful wife who puts up with my shit on a day-to-day basis. I have an amazing boss who's a good friend, an awesome visionary. We're building the next innovation in security operations at Query. And I couldn't be happier about that. I work with some ridiculously smart mofos who are literally creating stuff out of existence. Like what we are doing at Query, we're not copying anything else that's out there. We're literally building it from scratch with no template and nobody to copy off of. What more could I be happy for than to be on the cusp of actual cybersecurity innovation in our space? I have you all as a community. I am the luckiest streamer in the entire streamerverse. I do not believe that there is a luckier streamer than me out there. I have you all. I have a great golf game, and it's only going to get better. I got 2 tournaments this weekend. I'm bound and determined to bring home first place trophies this weekend. And if not, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be out there and play golf. I'm just grateful. And as Michael J. Fox says, with gratitude, optimism is attainable. And so I'm very happy, and I thank you. I'm looking to you across all the platforms. I'm looking at you, and I thank you for your role in that happiness. With that being said, I'm gonna grab this. Streamer over here that we're gonna go raid. If I can, BeardSec usually does this for me. There we go. Cool, got him. All right. So with that being said, those of us who are gonna join the raid, you're gonna get a pop-up on your screen that says, would you like to participate in the raid? We do ask you to participate in that raid. Go bring the positive energy that we just ended this stream on to this streamer. Remember to be on your best behavior. You're here to represent, be an ambassador of the cyber and security community. Whether you're on the red team, the blue team, we're still deciding. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time. LinkedIn and YouTube. We'll go ahead and end the stream for you all. Folks on Twitch, let's go have a good raid, and let's go see somebody. All right. We're going to go raid. Signing off. Why did we not go raid? It says raid. But my monitor hasn't changed. Have we raided? Did the raid work? I still see me over here. Was that a failed raid? Did we just fail to raid? Was that a failed raid for some reason? Did Twitch die on us? What happened there?